everyone, welcome to the Otherz Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Penny. We are back with another episode and another special guest this week. If you listen to the podcast and you follow us online, you probably know this guy. You probably know, at least know of his Instagram handle. And I need to try and make sure I say this right, because it's read differently than it's spelt, which always confuses me. DeauxBoyMeetsWorld.
That is correct. That is correct, man. Thank you.
How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm excited to finally get on the podcast. I know we've been talking about this for a while, even talking about the fruition of the podcast. So I'm just excited. Me being someone who kind of, fell off the whole wave, and then coming back and just seeing how strong the culture is, and everybody's still in it together, like it's, if you see, like you say, you might know my Instagram name. So it's like, if you see one of us, you're probably going to see, like all 2,000 of us out there, so that's, I'm definitely happy to be on the podcast, man. And one of my favorite things about the podcast is that, I'm sure a lot of the others don't have, tons of friends that they can just talk to or recollect these memories with. So whenever I listen to the podcast, as I told you before, it feels like I'm talking to someone. Like last time I listened, I cut it turned off, and I was just like, I feel like somebody stopped talking to me. I was like, well, why'd you stop talking? Like, because it's like, these are like the things I think about, like this is the music I listen to, this is what I was inspired by. So this is one of like the best mediums for people, who are into what we're into, or who kind of grew up with some of the same inspirations that we had, that we grew up with. So
yeah, most definitely. And you're an OG Otherz fan as well, because we actually met in the early days in New York, didn't we?
Yeah, man. I got your autograph. I got your autograph at BBC, man. I got your autograph at BBC, man.
For those followers that do, follow us on Instagram, you can scroll back through the pictures, and I think there's one of us there with Dave, and I think Sean as well is in the picture.
Those of us who thugged it out in the cold.
it was a shitty day out there. So yeah, much respect for actually coming out and saying hello. All right, so let's make a start on this. So this week we are talking about Number One, which I think was the third single off of In My Mind, or fourth single maybe? Third or fourth, something like that.
Yeah, that's when Pharrell started having to pull those tricks out the bag.
Yeah, very much
okay,
so.
I can't play this one low key. He's like, let's turn up.
But then even this track didn't do massive things. So it was released on the 21st of August, 2006. It got a limited release. It didn't come out in a lot of countries. It didn't get a wide release. In the UK, it got to the heady heights of 31, which isn't great. Number 10 in the UK R&B chart. In the US, it did even worse. It got to 57 on the US Billboard Hot 100.
Boom.
Yeah, and then it got a bit higher in I think it's the R&B and rap category or chart or whatever it is, but not much higher. And then for some reason, it got to number 8 in Belgium.
Hey.
So shout out the Belgian fans.
Okay.
They were supporting. Obviously, Belgium's a small country.
Have like a girlfriend from Belgium or something at the time.
Yeah, but it was around that time, like early to mid 2000s. He used to do a lot of stuff when he was in Europe. He'd always do like Holland and Belgium, those kinds of countries. France, he was pretty popular in Germany, obviously. But I think he's always done reasonably well in the likes of Belgium and Holland and things.
That's something I've always wanted to ask you. Like, how was Pharrell marketed? When you, during this era or during this time for you, like how, because for us, living in the States, it's like we could either go back to his Rump Shaker days, or we could either go back to, working with Jay-Z. Like there's so many eras that we got to experience firsthand. So like, how was, when this record came out, how was it promoted, overseas? Like,
yeah, when you're looking at like around 2006 and this album, he was obviously already a star, but he wasn't, I want to say in Europe, not like a mainstream, really well-known star. Yeah, he had the stuff with N.E.R.D. and had that kind of cult following, and they'd obviously come over and sell out shows and in headline festivals and stuff like that. But when they were doing the marketing, it was very much he was being marketed as almost like a brand new artist out here. So it was very weird to see, because you would get all these people that are like who's this Pharrell guy? Like, what's this song? And obviously there are a lot of us that have been fans for years and years and years and know all of the back catalogue stuff and know where he's come from in the productions and all that kind of thing. But yeah, this turned, I think, a lot of people onto him. But yeah, he was very much marketed as a new artist. And I don't think he was as heavily marketed over here in Europe as he was in the US. I know, like in the US around this time, he was appearing on pretty much every chat show, every late night show, doing all the performances of the singles, doing lots of live shows, lots of outdoor stuff. Over here, from what I can remember, like not so much. I think he did come over to Europe and do some promo stuff for the album, but it wasn't as intense as it was in the US, where I think he already had a slightly bigger and more kind of slightly bigger following and was a bit more kind of well known just in general terms because of his appearances on so many other songs.
Yeah, I've always wondered that, because like Pharrell's always he's one of those artists that aren't afraid to do the same thing that he does in the States in other places, like hence the BBC Japan, BBC Europe. So I was just wondering, for him to do those same things that he's able to pull off in the States, how are they marketing him to the point where, as you said, they may not have experience, as much, of Pharrell or that era as a lot of us have. So I was just always wondering that, like how do they sell Pharrell to the rest of the world?
Yeah, it's a bit. I always find when I read like interviews with him over here or stories about him, he's always kind of referred to as not like Pharrell Williams, the star in himself, but it's always Pharrell Williams. You know him from songs with Jay-Z, Britney Spears, and stuff like that.
Even for the States, it was like that for a very long time that, Pharrell was the background guy. Even when Frontin' came out, I mean, like, that wasn't the biggest record, it's like, it was still kind of like, Jay had a nice verse on there, like, like that's as far as people would go, but they weren't just, throwing that on, chilling with their girl, like, for the most part.
Yeah. In terms of this video, I don't have an awful lot of notes here and an awful lot to say about it in itself. We'll get through the boring stuff. So the video was directed by Hype Williams. We've got, of course, Hype Williams, who was doing everybody's videos at that time, including multiple Pharrell ones. We've got a few fairly famous cameos in here as well, in terms of the models that are involved. Miranda Kerr, Rosie Huntington Whitley, however you pronounce it. I should know that, her being English. Salita Ebanks. And also I was reading earlier, I didn't realise this, or maybe I know I'm getting old and my memory is going. But I was reading some notes about the video, and supposedly there's a black and white version of this video. And I was trying to recall if I've seen that black and white version, and I was trying to Google around and find it. But I don't recall a black and white version of this video. And
one of the things that, or my personal opinion about the video, that's one of my least favorite Pharrell videos. It's so dark. Like I'm used to the color and the, just being so expressive. This is more like, this dark Gucci, like like it was kind of far off, from a lot of the things Pharrell was doing at the time. So
yeah, a note that I had, it's like it's similar to the Angel video that got released. It's a bit more, I guess, upmarket looking, grown up, but a lot of it, especially with these models as well, a lot of it does look like a high-end perfume or cologne advert.
Don't say that, man. I'm never going to be able to shake that out of my head when I'm watching that. I'm never going to be able to get that out of my head.
Yeah, it's like there's minimal kind of BBC ice cream in it. I think that we get one yellow Coneman polo, one I think Money Rolls bucket hat, and apart from that, it's all Gucci and Louis Vuitton shirts and jumpers and sweaters and trench coats and LV like millionaire glasses and the duffel bag.
Which I love.
Well, yeah, which we all love, but yeah, it's similar to Angel, but very different to a lot of the other videos that he'd put out and would put out. And like you say, it's quite dark. There's a lot of night shots in it, a lot of outdoor shots.
Just the way they edit it is like it just looks like an oil painting or something. Like
yeah, there's a lot of like
dark.
browns and. Yeah, browns and burgundies.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of very dark colours involved, yeah. Which I guess is the kind of aesthetic they were going for. I guess they were trying to make a more kind of grown-up video. In terms of, I guess that kind of fits the song in itself as well. It's a bit more of a classic kind of R&B track with Pharrell doing the R&B stuff and Kanye, rapping on there. And it's one note I made earlier. It's again like similar to the kind of Angel stuff in some of the other videos. Pharrell has all these different like monikers that he uses. Like Skateboard P being one. Watching this video just made me think of like Playboy P. This is like a high end Playboy kind of. This is him being like a grown up.
P Hefner.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he's called himself Leonardo P too. What is it? Like I think he's called himself a lot of different things besides Pharrell. But yeah, the number one when that came out, that was for me as a Pharrell fan. That was one of the few moments that I got to tell like everybody shut the fuck up about like my bright shoes. Because I was like, you couldn't go anywhere and not really hear the song. Like it was in rotation, during that time. It's Kanye West. Like, at that time, like, of course, that's going to be in rotation. So it was just a great time where I could finally tell people, like, I saw you dancing to Pharrell. Like I saw you bobbing your head to that Pharrell. It's like, but before then, I would always have to plead my case and be like, and they were like, yo, his beats are weird. And it's like, I'm like, nah, I finally got you. So I don't want to hear anything about, how I dress or what I'm listening to. Like, So
it's certainly a more casual or mainstream kind of song, I think. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that like disparagingly.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's certainly one that pretty much anyone could listen to and go, oh, this is quite a cool like poppy R&B kind of track, and kind of get into it and like you say, dance to it or whatever.
Yeah, that was one of the few moments that I feel like Pharrell was able to find the middle ground, to make it to where we were still pleased as fans and as people who enjoy the Neptune sound, but it was still digestible for the general public.
Yeah. But and it's a weird one how it fits into the album as well, because we've talked about on previous episodes that album in itself being a bit of a mishmash and very braggy and of its time. That as well, but yeah, kind of very of its time in terms of hip hop and the kind of lyrical content and stuff. But this one seems more of a sensible track. It's not
It's
as
a bit more
braggy.
vulnerable.
Yeah, it's not as in your face as a lot of the other ones that are on there, which I like about it.
But now that I think about it, when you were saying like the layout of the album, I feel like a lot of the songs toward the end, not just because they were like, was the R&B side, but I feel like that it did get more vulnerable toward the end of the album. If you think about songs like Our Father and things like that, like, the album starts off, sorry, I don't know, I can't do the snares, but you know how it starts off, and then it ends, with like, if you have the regular version, I think it ends with like Our Father or something like that. The other version, I think, ends with Show You How to Hustle or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like the album starts off at, P being, this, as you said, like very braggadocious type of guy. And then by the end of the album, he's like saying thank God and thank Jesus for everything. Or he's, on Angel, where he's, saying, he's referencing, God and being in a relationship. And then you have Number One. So it's just like toward the end, he got softer on the album. Like, I think it might have started at the, I really like you, girl. It might have started there.
Yeah.
Because the one with, what's the song with Pusha T?
Dim the Lights. Is it Dim the Lights?
Yeah, I think it is Dim the Lights. So for like Dim the Lights, I feel like that was like right before it got vulnerable, because even like the way Push was talking on there, where it was like, it was still a soft record, but it was still like, but yeah, that's crazy that, just observing the layout of that album and how playing it through, you go through, you can see those different emotions. It's very hard to, find that in a lot of music currently, like, to be able to listen to it and see like the growth and, and have a whole spectrum, front to back.
Yeah. It's actually the one with Pusha T is Stay With Me.
Stay With Me.
And then, Take It Off, Dim the Lights is the one before that. I'm
my God,
awful with track
that,
names.
By the way. Yeah, the thing is, like, I have so much programmed in my head that I'm very awful with, like, remembering exact things. Like, I love reading books. So it's like, I'll tell someone, like, a line in a book, and it'll be from another book, like, but it's just like, man, the point is that I read it, like, like
I know the one line that meant something.
Exactly.
What's the book? I don't know the book. But, yeah.
Exactly. I'm trying. That's what matters the most.
Exactly. What else have we got on this track itself? Quite a nice sample on this track. Malcolm McLaren's World's Famous, which is then obviously used in the hook in itself, or the intro, and I think maybe part of the hook and the outro. If you don't know the track, go and have a listen to it. It's a very good track. Obviously, Malcolm McLaren is a bit of a legend, so...
This is why I am a fan of you guys, because I had no clue that was a sample. Me being a Pharrell diehard fan, I've never wanted to believe Pharrell has sampled in his life. Well,
that's the thing. It's,
like,
it's weird. It's a Neptune's produced track, but the sample itself is a very like Kanye West kind of sample. So I don't know if perhaps that came from Kanye because of his involvement in the track. But when I know knowing the original track that was sampled, the drums that are sampled, and then there's a slight interpolation of the lyrics as well, it comes across as a very Kanye thing. If you heard the original and you heard just the beat, you would, I think, at least to me, I could easily think, oh yeah, that's a Kanye produced beat, because I can see how that sample has come from there, how it's been changed into that, and then how the lyrics have been used. It's not necessarily like a Neptune's kind of thing, although they do sample reasonably regularly, but it's not too over the top. But you can certainly notice this sample if you go back and listen to the original. Like I say, yeah, it's a very Kanye thing. So I don't know if maybe he had some input or influence into the beat of this.
Yeah, obviously around that time they were working a lot closer, during that time period. So I could see that definitely being the case. Just all the events they were attending back then together, and the whole Murakami Bape and that type of connection. So I could see Kanye having influence on that one, and Kanye doesn't seem like a guy who takes the back seat anyway. So
that's exactly what I was about to say. He seems like very much sort of person. If he's in the studio laying down a verse, and he has something to say about the beat, and he wants it tweaked or changed or anything like that, he will be vocal about that and will have his input into it.
So I have to ask, where does number one rank as one of your favorites?
I don't know if it's one of my favorites. I'd say it's top half. It's one of those tracks I won't necessarily go and seek it out, but if it comes on randomly, it's a pleasant surprise, and I'll sing along to it and all of that. I do like it. Yeah, the video itself, not so much.
That's a pass.
I wouldn't be bothered if I never really saw the video ever again.
Likewise.
Yeah, but the song itself, I do like it. It is a good song. It's certainly top half, top third of tracks.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of feel the same. Where it's like, I don't think I've ever really played in my mind and went straight to like number one. Like I don't think I've ever done that. Besides like when the album first came out. But yeah, I would still say it's one of my favorite Pharrell songs. But I just have so many that it's like I could just jumble up, tons of Pharrell songs, whether they're, the ones that are singles to the ones that are, deep cuts. Is like, I just love so much of it. But I did want to ask, what is it about, what is it about the sound of that album that made you gravitate more toward, being a fan of Pharrell? Was it just refreshing to hear something, like that wasn't, being, mass produced as much, or were you just like, I'm already a Pharrell fan, so I'm just gonna listen to this shit because,
It's a bit of a mixture. I was obviously already a Pharrell fan. I think by like 2006, I'd probably seen him live with N.E.R.D, 5 or 6 times or something. Maybe.
Okay.
They'd come over pretty much. They come over to London pretty much every year.
I thought you said they come over for dinner pretty much every other week. I'm like, okay.
I can't get them off the phone. They're always on the phone, always coming around. But yeah, I'd already seen them quite a few times. I already, was very familiar with the Neptune stuff, the stuff Pharrell was doing on the side, the N.E.R.D stuff, all of that. So, I was always going to listen to it anyway. In terms of like the album itself, it's still an album that I listen to, but certainly not end to end. Back then it was, I think he could do no wrong almost, and I'm sure I probably listened to that album, back to back to back.
Could went in the studio and just farted on the mic. It was like, yo, this is the best fart ever.
Yeah. I'd have been, this is a really nice stripped back beat. This is great. We don't need to overproduce this, but yeah, it was. It was fucking. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. That one was a slow cooker, man.
Oh dear. Yeah, it was an interesting album. Like when I saw him doing the press for it, and I like the concept of it being kind of half hip hop, half kind of R&B. He's always kind of jumped between those two genres, whether he's doing verses or he's like singing a hook or whatever it may be when he's appearing on other people's stuff. So it was always an interesting concept, and there are good tracks on there, but I think further down the line, and with hindsight and stuff like that, it's a good album, and like I say, I still listen to it, but it's not. I don't view it as good or as important as I did back then, 10, 11 years ago.
I mean, I think whenever I do revisit that album, and I feel like for a lot of us being older, it probably holds true. But I usually just play Best Friend. Usually like the really, when I'm going back and I'm trying to listen to something, I need that motivation. I'll play like, what's the other song? Oh, You Can Do It Too. So it's like those are the ones that I revisit the most. Just because the messages that are in them, and like I said.
And again, that's a good thing and a bad thing about the album. It's looking back, it's got those kind of messages in it, and like you say, it slows down a little bit towards in the second half. It's a bit more introspective, a bit more vulnerable. It talks about things that important to him, which is really good and really refreshing and good to see. But it also makes it a slightly confused album when you have other tracks where he's talking about the complete opposite and talking about the cars that he now buys, the Enzos and the Rolls Royces and the diamonds and the women and all that kind of stuff. It makes it a bit of a mishmash of an album.
Stuff, kids.
All the stuff you need to spend your money on when you make it. Yes.
No, I think at the same time he did do a good job at blending it, because even on tracks like I think it was on You Can Do It Too. Is that Stick My Head? And she's sticking it up. My jeans being sucked down by his name. What now? I look in her eyes, and her eyes are like an orange star. Look at the reflection of my double R. Something to double R. So, I mean, I think he blended it where it was still, or at least most of us were able to catch it. I don't think for a lot of us who consider ourselves to be others, I don't think that we view Pharrell as some braggadocious guy. I think that we view it as, he was very young at that time, and obviously we've been very young and, wanted certain things as well at certain points in our lives. So I think we can kind of even relate to that a bit more now. But I think that we were still smart enough to understand that behind all this, okay, if Pharrell is mentioning this Japanese brand, okay, well, research, find out what this Japanese brand is. Oh, wow, it's made by a guy named Nigo. Oh, wow, these are designed by a guy named Skate Thing. So I think for a lot of us, it was just a gateway, kind of like how Jay-Z said for 99 Problems, where it's like the song has nothing to do with, 99 problems but a bitch ain't one. Like, it's not about, girl problems. Like, the song is a hardcore song about him being pulled over and things like that. But he wanted to make it to where people could at least, listen to it without having to think so hard. And I think that Pharrell definitely accomplished that with us, where the music sounds very enjoyable, but at the same time, you do get why he's doing certain things, especially us as fans who were paying attention to his moves and the different endeavors that he was doing. I think we got the point. And that's why a lot of times I get upset to hear P say that he doesn't really like the music from that era, because I'm like, okay, it was kind of, he said he was trying to compete with like Diddy, he wanted to be, like that type of guy. But I think a lot of us did get the point. We got the inspiration to want more. It wasn't just strictly about, because at that time everybody was rapping about, getting money and women and things like that. But I still feel that Pharrell packaged it in a different way, so that that's not all that we took. Even like the clips, they're big believers in that, where they feel like even though, a lot of their music is drug talk, and like we feel like you were able to take something else away, from our music that was bigger than the drug talk. that wasn't the goal, for the drug talk. And I don't think the Ferraris and all the name droppings of the high end brands was the goal for Pharrell. I think that he was just translating, being that kid who was in the band and now growing up and having 2 diamond cuts with Louis Vuitton. So I'm just happy that my brain and a lot of our other brains were able to, digest that and process it the correct way, as, instead of just writing it off as, this guy is just, flaunting and, has all these big chains. It's like, no, like we were inspired by those chains, and things like that. Like we may never walk around, like walk around the mall with one of those, like, gigantic chains on, but, just the fact that we know how Pharrell came up. We know he was an other. We know he was an outsider, to a certain extent. And I think it translated pretty well through that album, even though it was, a lot of name dropping, especially on the, if people think the album was, bad, you need to listen to the mixtape, the prequel. you need to listen to the prequel, okay? If you think that the album was bad, like, listen to the prequel. I think every line on there is at least, talks about something over $100,000. Like, yeah. So I really do appreciate that. It was more like it was good to take it for inspiration. And I hear so many artists say that nowadays, like from the Wale's to the Drakes, they say they were able to grab that part of Pharrell, where it was like, okay, this guy is doing all this, but he's not doing it the same way as everybody else. Like it's different. Like everybody's not going over to Japan or getting their clothes manufactured over there. Like no matter how much money Diddy had, you can't, like, getting your clothes made in Japan is cool. You can't buy cool. So, so I feel like Pharrell's always done it differently. Like, when people were buying Rolls Royces, Pharrell said, fuck it, I have to buy 2 of them. Like he said, why they hate me so much? Because I got two Phantoms, one in Virginia and one in Miami. Like, so it's like Pharrell has always done it differently, like, that's why it's hard for people to emulate it. That's why we haven't seen, or that's why that era, we feel so nostalgic about it, because, it's so hard for someone to do what he did, where it's like I said, he was able to grab our attention, by at least being current, being modern, but at the same time, still feeding our brains, I guess the same way he said Slick Rick did for him. He said he was inspired by the fact he was called a crumb. So it wasn't the fact he was called a crumb, but it was like, this guy can call me a crumb. I want to be able to call people crumbs one day. I don't have to do it, but I want to,
No, I agree with you. Yeah. Very well put, I think.
Yeah, sorry if I just ramble on, man. But like I said,
that's exactly what we're here for.
I just get so excited talking about this, because obviously we're not living in that time now. So to revisit that and to, think about all the memories and, even celebrate the fact that P's still going, it just feels like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm too connected to it. I feel like I can't detach from it. Like if I see someone listening to a Pharrell song, I'm like, how long you like Pharrell?
What was the first song you purchased? Show me your iTunes catalog.
If I see like someone listening to like the little Uzi and Pharrell song, I'm like, yo, come on now, like you're not a P fan. I feel like I need to detach sometime. If I see somebody with Human Races on, I just get heated. I'm like, where were you when the board flips were out? Where were you when we were wearing the clown shoes?
I feel you on that, especially being slightly older as well. And I kind of walk around town and it's full of 18, 19-year-olds wearing hues, and I'm just shaking my head.
I see you. Yeah, it's like you're cringing right
these
now.
Days.
He's cringing. You can't see him, but he's cringing. I just want to walk around with flyers, like the do you know Jesus flyers, and just give them to everybody who has on human races. Like, do you know Skateboard P? Do you know our Lord and Savior? Skateboard P.
Skateboard P is the God.
Yeah, I get so offended now, man. I'm just like, that's one reason I'm happy I don't work retail anymore, because I would see people that come in with, like, Pharrell's, tennis shoes on, and we had like these iPads, and like I would pull up like board flips, and I'm like, these are the first ones. Like I sound like that.
Sit down and listen to me.
I become that old guy that's just like, this is what this is. That's second season camo, babe. And I didn't notice till afterwards. It was like, I'm that guy. Like, if I'm ever in Soho just walking around and I see like some little kid, little 12-year-old, and like some babe, ABC camo, I'm like, hey man, do you know when that first was out? I really hate that I'm that guy. I really hate that I'm that guy now.
I feel you. Don't worry.
I'm going to start calling it's called BBC checking. It's not G checking. It's BBC checking. Do you know when the first diamonds and dollars,
And that's the thing, like, now we're going to get onto some releases and stuff in a minute, but over the last sort of year or two, speaking to people that work on the Adidas side, work in retail, work at the BBC side, and are kind of involved in this, so many of them, tell me that when these shoes drop, like especially the Hues, the NMDs, human race ones, like so many people just don't have a clue that, one, Pharrell is kind of behind them, and two, if they do know Pharrell is behind them, they've got no idea about what came before the human races.
Oh my God.
They've got no idea about all the other Adidas stuff, and then before that, all of the ice creams and everything else, and BBC, and and it makes me cringe and makes me hurt inside a little bit.
Yeah, man, we're getting old, man. We're getting old.
Yeah, very much so.
I really hate that I've turned into that guy. If I see you with any Pharrell paraphernalia, any N.E.R.D, anything, hats, I'm just like, I don't care. History lesson now. Like when I see someone in a shark hoodie, like I'm the shark. I'm like, hey, do you know the Teriyaki Boys video where that was debuted? Like, it's on YouTube with like 3,000 views, and I'm like, do you know?
I've actually said that to people, and people that like collect Bape and stuff.
Yeah,
there's a few people here that have got semi-decent collections, and they're like the who boys, the what? And it's just like, oh my god. And annoyingly, here's a fun fact for people out there. Ilmari from the Teriyaki Boys. Ilmari is a Finnish name, and he is half Finnish. I can't remember if it's his mum or dad that's Finnish. It's one or the other. And weirdly enough, I have a friend here who one day came to my house for like the first time and was like, "Oh, you're into like Pharrell? Oh, you've got this like Pharrell picture with like BBC Japan stuff on it." And he's like, "Oh, I know a guy that's in I grew up with this guy that's in this group that I think did something with Pharrell. Yeah, like Teriyaki Boys or something."
I'm sure your mouth just dropped all the way to the first floor of your building.
Yeah. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I went, grew up with him, went to school with him for a while, and he had a Finnish parent, and our parents or grandparents or something were friends of each other and lived near each other, and it's a small world, and he had like no idea, what this guy was doing in this band, and its association with Bape and with Nego.
And that's when you gave him the history lesson.
Yeah, I had to break a few things down.
And he was like, what?
Yeah. So let me take you on a tour of my apartment and explain all of these pictures and all of these magazines and all of these albums, yes.
Yeah, man.
And now he's no longer my friend.
It's justifiably. I feel like Finland just keeps getting all these W's, and you just keep throwing it in our faces in the podcast. You're like, hey, yeah, when Pharrell said that about the Sunseekers, it was here. It was. Like, we're behind that. Don't you ever forget.
Don't worry. Finland's got nothing. That was actually the UK. Finland has literally a vague link to one guy from the Teriyaki Boys, and I think that's pretty much
Steve
it.
is actually the guy from the Teriyaki Boys. He looks a bit different now. But if he puts his hat on and cocks it sideways,
If only I was.
He's the one with the Finnish parent.
All right, so we may as well talk about... Oh, actually, no. Before we talk about some new releases, I had one more note about this song. And I think we've talked about this on previous episodes about how the album or certain songs have and haven't aged or well. And this song generally, I think, has aged well. I still listen to it, and it still sounds good.
Yeah.
But something, just listening back to it earlier, that caught my ear, and I think always catches my ear, is Kanye's Myspace reference in his verse at the end. Exactly. It's very much of the times. And when I hear that, that just reminds me of how old this track is. It was released 12 years ago. It was probably recorded a year before that because the album kept getting pushed back. So it's a good kind of 12 to 13 years old. And just hearing that line every time just reminds me of how old I am.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's crazy that you said it's 12 years old. And sometimes I feel so disgusted with myself because I'm like, man, I dress like I did when I was 13. Now it's like, like you can go look at my old Facebook pictures and I'm basically wearing the same clothes. I'm like, I've been dressing like this for over a decade.
It's fine. Don't worry. There's a lot of us that do that. I still live in BBC t-shirts and hoodies, and that's essentially it. So
yeah, exactly. Essentially time. It. Like like, you got Suits, and then there's BBC.
If my girlfriend may or may not listen to this, hopefully not, but we have.
Hopefully so. We need the.
Yeah, I'll post her feedback if she does. I have like a big walk-in kind of closet and. Or wardrobe, as we would say over here, but closet to you international listeners.
There we go.
And she has kind of slowly moved in here and has a few things in there now. But this whole walk-in wardrobe, which has like a double wardrobe of hanging space and then 2 walls of shelves, it's made for 2 people. And when I first started seeing her and moved here around the same time, about a year ago, it was the closet was completely full, and it was probably 80 to 90% just BBC stuff. And now I have 2 wardrobes worth of hanging space. One side is just all BBC t-shirts. I think there's like 60 of them. The other side is all hoodies, and there's probably 30 of them or something. And then there's a little slither in the middle which has like a bunch of Ralph Lauren polo shirts that I wear to work and a couple of jumpers, and then 2 suits, and then it's got a couple of her dresses, and that's it.
So basically it's a BBC closet.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
BBC storage room, that's it. Like, are you the
it
one who runs BBC Vault? Is that you?
And embarrassingly, or I would say like 90% of the stuff in there doesn't get worn as well. It just hangs there. I have a few favorite pieces that I like to wear, and that's pretty much it.
That's what I was going to say.
That just goes on rotation.
I was going to say, man, you must have a hell of a nightlife, man. To have 60 t-shirts, you must be going out every night, man.
I wish I was. I wish I was young enough to do that.
Oh man, like I said, sometimes I'm just disgusted with how old I am now. Where it's like, most of the time I rather stay home and eat ice cream. You know, like
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing to do. Stay home, eat ice cream.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was going out to the pub every night, and now it's just coming home and I'm like, that sofa looks really comfy. I could
You
just
know
sit on
what?
that sofa all night long.
I could, it's a lot better than walking, it possibly raining. It's like, hey man, I'm just gonna sit here and watch what I want to watch and do what I want to do.
Yeah, the joys of getting old. All right, so let's talk about a few releases that we've just got or are coming up at some point soon. I can obviously get your opinion on them as well. The new hues that we talked about in the previous episode came out, I think it was Friday. These aren't, I don't even know what they're classed as. They're not the tennis hues, although some new tennis hues did come out. And these aren't NMDs, they're, I don't know, whatever they are in between. There's a black version, a white version, and another coloured version. I can't remember what it is. And these were, the price point was kind of between the two. So tennis hues, I'm going to talk in euros now because that's where I am. Tennis hues are about 110, I think. NMD's about 250. These new hues were 150, I think. Like I mentioned previously, they look a bit like some of the old board flips in terms of the colorways and some of the material that's used on them. I don't know if they've done that purposely or not, or whether it's just complete coincidence. Yeah, or whether it's just me just making this stuff up in my head and
they never
no
give
one
us
else
what we
sees
want.
it. No. But yeah, they came out on Friday. I have not copped any of them, nor have I got any of the new tennis hues, although a couple of the new colorways are quite nice. But when I've already got 15 pairs that I don't wear, it's probably not advisable to buy anymore, especially now.
Only 15, guys. Only 15.
Yeah. Only 15. Just remember who my sometimes co-host and good friend is, and how many pairs he has, and 15 is not that many. That's how I justify it. And speaking of the NMDs and releases, I have it on good authority from a friendly source that I think next month we will see 2 new pairs of BBC NMDs coming out. So these are the ones that have been teased for a while. I think they've been in Hype Beast.
Red, white, and blue or something like that.
That's the one, yeah. So it's the white base with the stripes. There's yellow, blue, and red stripes on them, I think, if I remember rightly.
Very BBC-ish.
Yes. I don't know if the final versions have the BBC logo on them or not, or what the writing on the front is going to be. I do have a picture somewhere, but I'll try and dig it out while I'm talking. But there's those, and then the other pair will be the pink and like navy blue striped ones with I did see those too. Yeah, they were leaked a while back as well, but they're getting an official release at last. I'm just trying to find the picture. So
I actually haven't copped any of the NMDs. I used to work for it.
You haven't got any?
I've just never copped any of them. I just hate the new hype behind them. And it's like, I just don't feel like, and I hate sounding like, so narrow-minded, but I just don't feel like it fits into the aesthetic of my the things I admire about Pharrell. Like, a hype shoe is not why I admire Pharrell. So, I've had Yeezys and things like that, but I just couldn't justify spending $300 on something from Pharrell that, that I'm only spending $300 because it's hype now. Like, I would want to spend $300 because I like Pharrell that much, that I feel like something is worth $300 to me, not because people are deeming that it should be a $400, $500 shoe or, whatever. Like, it's like, no, I want to give Pharrell that on my own merit, not because how much it means to me, not because what somebody else says that I should pay. That's not even a fan, of the culture, tells me that I need to pay, to get something from Pharrell. I'm like, I'll pass. I'll just keep buying ice creams, for $300 or $400.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not giving you $300, $400 for these Adidas shoes just because it's cool right now. Like, no, like,
Yeah, I've been quite picky with the NMDs. I've got a couple of pairs, but yeah, I haven't kind of splurged on loads of those.
Yeah.
In terms of the tennis hues, yeah, I've got like 10 or 15 pairs of those, but
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
really
definitely
love
a more
them.
reasonable
I think
sneaker.
they're a little bit cheaper. There's a better price point, and I just think they're ridiculously comfortable. I think they're one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, and I have to say I have quite bad arthritis in my feet as well. So having like a comfortable shoe and a light shoe is like really important to me as well.
It's very breathable too.
Yeah, they are. And, I took some pairs abroad with me in the summer. Well, actually, I took one pair with me and then a pair of Air Max 90s. And obviously, the tennis shoes weigh about a quarter of the weight. And we went to Spain, went to Barcelona, and it was like 38 degrees. I don't know what that is in your weird Fahrenheit, but it's very, very hot. And I wore the Air Maxes for one day, and then put the tennis shoes on, and it was like
night and day, man.
Yeah, man, my life changed, and I did not take them off for the rest of the week. So yeah, I love them, and
I hate to say it, I'm a no Nike guy, man. So I don't buy anything from Nike. I grew up a Nike kid, but now that I'm older and can make my own decisions, I'll pass. That check gets me every time. Every time I see that check, I just feel so cheap. I'm like, ew. Like, it's just like,
I've got to say, when I like met Pharrell in the summer and had some pictures with him, and I posted
Come on,
them.
why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, man? Why'd you do?
Cover your ears for a minute. You're right. Most of the comments that I had about that picture was the fact I was wearing that same pair of Air Max 90s.
Like, what?
And people are like,
you? Every day of your life you wear a tennis hue, and the day you go meet Pharrell, you just decide that you're just gonna Air Max it up.
I needed a comfortable shoe. It was at a festival. It was,
you should have
walking.
When you found out you were meeting P, you should have thrown those in the trash and just had socks on for the whole time. At the festival.
To be fair, I had no idea I was going to be meeting him. It was very, very out of the blue. And had I known, had it been prearranged, then I would have broken out a pair of like original, dead stock boutiques and worn them.
Surprised you didn't have any hues in your wallet. Like, hold on, it's fine. I got them right here.
Just keep a spare pair in the back pocket.
I have to ask, man, how was that encounter? Like for me, I've been in close proximity to Pharrell because I grew up going like on the road with Big Sean a lot and things like that. So I've always like seen him. But I've never approached him. I know as a fan it sounds weird, but I've never wanted to go because I just don't know what I would say to him. Like you, obviously you have a kid, you could say, hey, even my kid knows how much a fan I am. But, for me, it would be like, there's just so much that I would personally want to say, that it's like, man, I would probably just say, what's up? And that would be it. Like, yeah. I was like, hey, that's it.
And I think I would have been the same, when I got to meet him. He approached us. Shay actually called him over and said, come and meet these guys. And he came over, and I was
Explain to us at that moment. Explain it to us at that very exact moment when Shay said, hey, Pharrell, hey, Mr. Williams, come over here. How did you feel at that very, very exact moment? Can you capture that in words?
No, I didn't quite believe it was happening. So my son had actually, we were talking to Shay, we were having a bit of a chat, and my son had actually like pulled my arm and said, there's Pharrell over there. And I kind of, if you want to hear the whole story, go back and listen to the old podcast about it. But briefly, he was in his little trailer that he had. I didn't even realise they had separate trailers and he was even there. I was just going to go meet the band and hang out with Brent and see a few people, and that was it. But he was in there pacing and on the phone, and then he kind of came off the phone and stuck his head out of the door just to kind of see what was going on. And and Shay kind of noticed, and Shay was like, hey, P, get over here, come and say hello. And firstly I was like, you can't talk to him like that.
Yo, that's what I was about to say. I would have been like, Shay, no, shh.
Yeah, you can't demand he comes over here.
We don't want him to know we over here. He might kick us out.
That is exactly what I thought. He walked over, and there was no kind of emotion on his face or anything. Yeah. And I completely get this looking back at it. We're some random people that are in his private space when he's getting ready to do a show. That's his work, his job. He's conducting his business there, and we're just random people that have just turned up and are talking to people and shit.
Yeah, he's like, so what illness does this guy have? Like, why does he need to meet me? Like, what is it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And when he came over,
what charity is this for?
Yeah, he was very nice. Like Shay said, Pessy, my son, has drawn us these pictures, and Pharrell took the picture and looked at it and said, "Oh, this is really cool. This is great. What's your name? How old are you?" And he was like so good with my son, and obviously, he's got a kid, roughly the same age. Yeah. So he's kind of obviously, he knows how to talk to kids, and he probably meets a lot of kids and fans and things like that. And he was really good with him, and I thought, this is cool. I'm happy just to stand here with my jaw on the floor and watch him chat to my son, and then he'll go off and do his whatever. And then he kind of got up, and then Shay said, "Yeah, so this is Steve, and Steve has a podcast about us."
No, don't.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, "Shit, why am I getting dragged into this? Yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, and I just kind of expected Pharrell to be like, "Oh, that's cool. Yeah, nice to meet you. See you later. Take it easy. Enjoy the show." And he actually, and this is kind of what got me, he didn't know anything about the podcast or anything like that, but he knew. Oh, and Shay actually said, I sat down with Steve earlier, did an interview and stuff. And I think that said to Pharrell, okay, this guy's kind of legit, because we know that Shay doesn't talk to people. We know Shay doesn't do this stuff. So if Shay's saying he's cool, then he must be okay.
Yeah, you're down with the set.
And it was at that point, he didn't know anything about me or the podcast, but he took the time to stop, and he was saying thank you to me. He was saying thank you for, I can't remember the words, it's all a bit of a blur, but he was saying thank you for sharing their message, sharing their music, following them for all the years, being a fan and all this kind of thing. And that's what got me. And then I was like, "Oh no, it's an honor. It's my pleasure. And thank you for doing all this stuff for us, the fans." And
I'm finished.
And it was, and I was like, thank you, because your music means so much to me. And it's in reality, his music has been the soundtrack to my adult life. From the age of about 18 onwards. It's been just his music that has kind of been with me the whole time, whether it's N.E.R.D. or Pharrell or Neptunes or whatever. So, I was telling him that, and telling him that, my son loves all this stuff as well, and it's a big important part of his life and our relationship as well. And at that point, that's when I started to get a bit choked up.
Yeah, man, you got the lump in your throat.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh shit! Don't lose your voice in front of him. Don't start crying in front of him. Just, ease back a little bit."
Your son probably would have started crying too. Pharrell would have had to comfort both of you guys.
Just group hug,
guys. It's gonna be okay,
guys. Bring it in. Yeah. But yeah, it was a very strange and very surreal moment, let's say.
Yeah, that's how it's always been for me too. Whenever I've seen him, it's just been like. It would be impossible for me to translate, what it's done for me, or what the things he's introduced us to, how much they've opened my mind to different things. So it would be so hard to bottle that up, where we would literally have to be probably at his home, at the dinner table talking, for me to actually have a conversation besides hi and bye. And, I never really understood that, when people say they meet, their idols, so to speak, and they're like, but I didn't really say, is for the most part, you really can't translate that emotion without, like you said, getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, so you get overwhelmed, or you come across as really fucking creepy. and a bit weird. And it's a fine line, and I'm not quite sure which side of the line I was on that day. But
you're like, I'm not sure if I'll ever meet P again.
Yeah. So next time you bring people backstage, Shay, please can you tell us?
I would have just started crying, like, is it raining? Is it the only one raining?
But then, funnily enough, we kind of went off on our own and caught up with some other people and hung out with Brent for a bit. And then as we were going to go backstage to kind of find somewhere to stand, we walked out of the area, and P had actually gone out with Helen, with his wife, to, I don't know, go and talk, go get some food or something. And they were coming back in through the doorway as we were going out. And it was just a normal sized doorway, so we couldn't all obviously fit through. So I was like, I'm a bit closer to the door than he is, so do I speed up and like cut through in front of him and his wife? Ever. Or do I just kind of like stand here and wait and look a bit weird again?
I would have just pushed my son out the way and been like, "Hey, this way, this way, guys."
Just lay on the floor and let him walk over me. Yeah. But I did the.
Just lay on the floor and let him walk.
Yeah. Don't step in these puddles. Let me help you. But yeah, I did the polite thing, and I thought, I'm not going to push through because I don't want to come across as a bit of an arsehole, because I'm also with two other people that have also got to walk through the door with me. So yeah, I stepped to one side and waited, and Helen was like, "Oh, thank you." And then, Pharrell, he did not say a word. He just stopped, looked at me, put his hands together, bowed at me in silence, and then carried on about his business. And I was like, oh my God, he just acknowledged me again in some way, and
in some weird way he learned from Nego.
yeah.
You got the Nego hello.
Yeah. So that was my experience.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. You got a chance to experience that with your son. Like, I'm glad we were able to revisit that too, for a lot of people who didn't hear it in an earlier podcast, for you to kind of, just summarize that,
Yeah, and if people want to go listen to the kind of whole story and also the interview with Shay, you can find that on the podcast feed or on the website and have a listen. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, I was going to talk about the NMDs we mentioned. So the BBC ones are Heart and Mind. And then the pink and blue, or I don't know if it's navy blue or purple. I can't quite tell.
I think
they have
navy blue.
Yeah, it looks navy blue in this picture I've got. They have like a Japanese inscription on them. I have no idea what it means, but I think that's what they're being released with. So, excuse me, we have those two coming out. I think they're both being released in the same month, which I think maybe next month. So if you're interested in those, they will sell out really quickly. So start saving your money now, because they will be. They are actually different prices as well, I'm told, but they'll be around £250, £220. So yeah, start saving your pennies now. What else we've got this week? Today, I think I also noticed we've got a re-release of the Star Trek gear from BBC. So that's jackets, hoodies, and t-shirts, I think. There were a couple of previous releases. There was in-store only, which I think sold out straight away. Online after that, which sold out like in seconds. But now there's a third release, a re-release. This came out, I think, earlier today. It wouldn't surprise me if it's sold out already. So by the time you listen to this, which will be probably the week after that, you've probably got no chance of getting hold of this stuff. But, I'm going to put it out there anyway, just so you know.
Did you check your Instagram, man? They just released some news about 25 minutes ago.
I haven't looked, no. Oh, God, here we go. Let's vamp for a minute and try and find this quickly.
Head to the ATM, brother. Get ready for the ATM.
I'm just going to...
Oh, my God.
Don't say that.
God. Really? No, just the colors. The colors. I'm surprised they use these colors again.
Okay.
Fire. Okay.
So yeah, go cop those if you want them. Also a
podcast
release.
Over.
That's it. We're done. I've got to log on quickly. Also coming out. I don't know when they're coming out. Again, bear with me while I vamp for a second. The 29th, which is in 2 days' time, is that Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. The new Sandal Boys collaboration. You may know them. They previously did a BBC collaboration where they did some sandals in tan with the diamond and dollar design on them. They are now releasing a white beepers and butts version.
Steve's favorite print.
See, we mentioned this before we started recording.
Don't let them tell you any different.
So there are two designs, two prints that I dislike. One is the waffle print that they use on some of the shoes and some of the clothes in limited kind of quantities.
With
Not
the
a fan
syrup
of,
splatter? With the yellow syrup splatter, brother? Come on,
Not a fan. And the beepers and butts is another one. Now, beepers by themselves, I own a pair of the beeper boutiques. I really like them. It's the butt side of things. I completely understand the play on the word. I very much dislike smoking anyway. And just the image of a cigarette butt, like, to me, is disgusting. Like,
I saw someone comment that the other day, like, why? Like, someone on Sandal Boys who probably doesn't know shit about BBC was just like, why are there cigarette butts? They could have used blunts. I'm like,
yeah. But I've never liked it, and the fact that I dislike, I'm not like, if people want to smoke, they want to smoke, that's cool. I don't like it. I think the imagery is just, So if these had just been beepers, I probably would have got a pair.
Does anybody know retail? Because I'm not shoveling out $150 for sandals just because.
I think these will. The last ones were $150, I believe. Yeah, so I think these probably will be. But what I've got to say is with these, which I don't think came with the D&D ones, is we've got like a new box.
Yeah.
Which looks like the original boutique ice cream box. Which I think it's really nice. It looks really good, and that's probably the one thing that would maybe convince me to buy a pair of these. Is like just the packaging looks really good.
Yeah,
Frenulations.
That would be the only reason. I would just literally sit it on a mantle in my room.
Mate, I've got a closet full of this stuff that just sits there. So don't put it past me.
There's a space for it somewhere.
Yeah. Don't tell my girlfriend.
Trust me, she'll see it.
Yeah. But yeah, these do, Frenulations and the Sandal Boys guys, they do really good job. Their stuff's like really high quality.
Yeah, I like the quality of it for sure.
The quality of them, the stitching, the way they're done, they look really good. The packaging's really good. They've got some socks that are going with them as well, which look quite good.
I may get the socks if they're not $60. If the socks are not 60, I may get them.
I think they're 30 or 35, if I remember rightly.
I don't like that they're dark gray, though. I don't like the dark gray. It's like, you could have gave me some white socks so that ice cream man can really stand out.
Stands out, yeah. But I like a darker sock personally.
Yeah.
I'm not a white sock fan, but yeah, I know what you mean.
You're not a White Sox fan? Hey, you guys hear that? He doesn't like baseball, guys.
You can add that to the list as well. All the White Sox, any type of reference you want to make from that, I don't like. But shout out Frenulations and Sandal Boys. That's dropping this weekend. Again, this podcast may come out after the weekend, so they'll probably already be sold out. But if you got a pair, well done. I will be waiting until Beeps and Butts are gone, and I'm intrigued to see what other ones we will get in the future. And I probably will cop those. In terms of other sandals, we got a tease, a sneak peek of potentially some of the more expensive ones that may come as part of the Made in Italy line earlier this week. Cones and Bones. Matthew Chevallard, who is looking after the Made in Italy project, posted them, I think, on his Instagram story or something. Now, they do look really good. They do look really nice. But they are about $200 or something crazy. So I got to weigh that up. But if they do drop, I may get involved in a pair. They do look good. that's pretty much everything I think that's coming out or has just come out. Latest pickups. I've got 2 things this week. I haven't bought anything for a while. But I have some N.E.R.D tour gear. So shout out to the plug that actually got me those. I was meant to get some in the summer when I actually went and saw them. But by the time the show was over, the merch stand was gone. So I didn't manage to get hold of any. They have been released in the US store, but they weren't doing international shipping. And then it was a pain to buy the stuff from the store, send it to David or somebody else and have it shipped to me. So a very kind N.E.R.D contact of mine sorted me out with the long sleeve white ESP lemon t-shirt, and of course I had to get the Swarovski rhinestone, whatever it is, N.E.R.D.
Why not? And he said,
hoodie
whatever it is, whatever I spent money on.
Yeah.
Whatever I spent money on.
But I had to get that. I had to get a bit of bling in there, and it is a lovely looking hoodie. If you do end up buying them, I know they're also going to be released in the BBC EU store. I want to say like next week, maybe at some point soon. I think they have the stock in already. They're just waiting to release it. If you do get them, be aware these aren't BBC or ice cream goods. The hoodies are Champion hoodies. Yeah, they're decent quality. And then the t-shirts are, I don't even know what the brand is. They're just like a mass-produced brand which have been screen printed on. So yeah, be aware if you're going to buy them. They're not BBC. I think the t-shirts are going to be going for 50 or 60. Then the hoodies like 90 or £100.
I like that new the new motor cross collection, with the green and black squares. The hoodie with the BB with the arch logo is pretty cool. That's pretty cool to me.
I've had mixed feelings about some of these. I've seen some of them, and yeah, it's all kind of motocross influenced, and some of them I think have looked really, really good, and then others I look at them and I'm just like, what are they? So yeah, mixed feelings, but there's a few nice pieces in there, I have to say.
Yeah, I like the shirt is pretty cool. It doesn't look very BBC-ish, but it looks very cool. Did you see this? This is what I was referring to.
No, I did not. And just for people listening, there is a BBC Ice Cream Instagram story. Ice Cream Fall, was it 2018 coming soon or something?
Yeah, it's releasing tomorrow. That's soon. Yeah, that's the story I was referring to.
Okay. I'm just looking at it now, and there is a running dog skate deck. Yeah. Oh God, I want this.
There's
another running dog.
We have to stay professional, Steve.
No, there's another one. There's 3 running dog skate
He's sweating,
decks.
guys. He's sweating.
Oh,
He's sweating. That's why I said when I saw those colors on the last one, like the colors, I was like, they brought that colorway back. What?
Oh no! Oh, I'm hurting inside. I can feel my bank account crying.
That's why I said, go to the ATM, brother. Go to the ATM.
Put this out there. My kid has his birthday soon. It's also Christmas coming up as well. In theory, I bought him his birthday present last week. He got a new iPhone, and he got it as an early birthday and Christmas present, and that was made very, very clear to him as well. So in theory, he can go without a birthday present in a few weeks' time.
And then you're going to use that money for other investments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
like skate decks.
yeah. Like skate decks. I can't even skateboard. They're just things to go on the wall. And before people send me messages, I am joking. He will. He has many birthday presents coming, and
it
Christmas
will
presents.
be a skateboard deck.
Yeah, he's learning to skateboard.
But yeah, that's amazing, man. I'm excited to see what else that they release. I don't like how they spoon feed. Just because our community is not big enough for you to like try to hype something up, it's like we'll not get interested because we already have a ton of this shit at home. Like you said, like we don't need all of this shit, especially for some of us who do prefer the more OG designs and things like that anyway. It's like we could always go find the stuff elsewhere. So I really want to see what else is part of the collection, but with them just releasing it tomorrow, all we've seen is a skate deck, a hoodie, and a t-shirt, which is not bad. They're releasing a Cones and Bones tee, which is amazing, you know, just to get that. That's our version of the box logo for Supreme heads. It's like, you know, Cones and Bones tee just on the front with the Cones and Bones on the back, you know, like, so I'm excited about that. I'm not sure what the price points are going to be. I'm hoping that they're last season's, the last season's price points, $28 a t-shirt. I don't see them charging something ridiculous.
I think it will be higher end, and I don't know if these are part of the Made in Italy stuff, which is also going to be doing, obviously, as we mentioned, the sandals, Cones and Bones stuff, and Running Dog stuff. I don't know if this ties into that at all. These look like standard skate decks as opposed to the suede like ones that even the Made in Italy stuff.
The t-shirts that I saw and the hoodie. They're I mean, not OG, but they're from like season 13 or whatever the last season was. But yeah, I actually went to go check out the Made in Italy stuff. I really like the take on ice cream made in Italy after seeing the product. I mean, like I said, I'm more of like a Japan, like raw, you know, like I like that heavy, you know, but when like the quality, it's very well from the hats, you know, even the trucker hat, you know, it's like it's so much quality it couldn't fit on my head, like because it just sits like it's so shaped well, you know, it's just like it's like it didn't go with my head shape, but that it's pretty dope. It's a dope take to see like ice cream in a more upscale view. Yeah, and you can like really feel the difference between like the $28 shirts and the new shit.
I like what they're trying. I don't know if it will work. I hope it does. But I like the fact they're trying new stuff. You know, the ice cream stuff has been languishing around for years and years. Nobody's been touching it. So it's good to see them try some new stuff. Try and give us kind of older collectors something I think we've sometimes been asking for in terms of bringing back some of the classic designs, but with a new take on them, and also, you know, appealing to a new type of customer as well. So hopefully it pans out and hopefully it works.
Are you gonna once we finish the podcast, are you gonna, you know, start texting and start calling, and you know, you're gonna look like Wolf of Wall Street, like, and they're just on the table with the punching numbers. He's like,
as soon as I saw that Instagram story, my first thought was, who's the best person I can message to get one of those put by for me?
Man, well, if you don't message them, I could try to proxy it. I don't think that there'll be a crazy line or crazy. There should be enough to go around for that type of shit. Like, I don't know. But it is running dog shit. So it's like people who are not even like diehard fans, like that, they're still, they recognize that, you know, like, they're bringing back some OG shit, you know, even if you're not like even if you're not one of the others, you know, those people are probably still going to try to get the shit just because they want to be nostalgic. But yeah, just let me know. I'm probably going to take a trip there tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I will let you know. I need to hit up my EU contacts as well and see if there's any being shipped over this way. Just because this is like the issue. Like I love the fact that the BBC do stuff separately, like in the US, the EU, Japan. But the problem that brings for somebody that's kind of stuck in the middle that wants to collect this stuff is
in the middle.
If I want something from the US, I have to somehow get it to me. And if it's a t-shirt or a hoodie, that's not really a problem. I've got plenty of people there that I can send it to who can post it over. But when it starts coming to things like skate decks, it becomes a bit more challenging and costly as well.
Yeah.
To buy it, have that person then package it for me, and then to have that shipped from the US to Finland, it's not cheap.
So, AKA it is not cheap.
Yeah, so that's a bit of an issue. So yeah, I need to see if we're gonna get a European release of these, and if we are, I may hold out and try and purchase one from the London store. But if not, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say they're having a Japan sample sale, and there's gonna be some ice cream there. So if you have any friends out there, you might be able to scoop up some good ice cream pieces, for a decent price. I'm assuming it's gonna probably be more of like the OG stuff, or I'm not sure what it'll be, but they have a ice cream sample sale, which is something we haven't had in the States. So
again, this is the annoying thing about living in Finland is the Tokyo store does a lot of sample sales. I think they do like a few a year, and they normally have some really good stuff. The London store, a number of names, does like a sample sale, so not just BBC stuff.
Shout out to a number of names.
Yeah, most definitely. They have sample sales. They sometimes have 2 a year. Now I'm lucky I can get hold of certain pieces if I really want to get hold of pieces that are going to be there. But I miss going to those things. I miss digging through the boxes, going through the shelves, seeing stuff that maybe
we've never experienced that, man. Like, well, now BBC is more widely available, so like in pretty much any department store you go to, you can find BBC shit now for like $20 or $25 a t-shirt. So it's a bit more widely available, but with it being a bit more popular here, like you'll never get like a BBC sample sale in Soho. Like, like they'll just send the shit to some department store. But that's so cool to me that you've gone through like boxes of BBC, like, do I want this? Nah, I'll take this one. Like that sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, and you find all sorts of bits and pieces, and again, because they work very independently, it means that the guys in London will create samples of stuff that will never make it to Tokyo or to the US. So you will literally only find that piece in the London sample store.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
So you can find some gems sometimes, and I see them crop up on like eBay and Facebook and stuff like that. After the sample sales, people will post them and try and resell them at an inflated price because they're rare pieces, because they haven't actually been released anywhere, and you've only been able to get them at this sale in London for these 2 days. So, but yeah, it's annoying, and I always tend to miss the sales because I do various trips to London, but they always end up being like a week before I go or 2 weeks after I've been there or something stupid. So that's slightly annoying.
That doesn't benefit you.
Yeah, it benefits my bank account and my wallet slightly. But as I say, I'm lucky enough to be in a position where if I really need to get hold of something that's going to be there that I know of, I can get it, let's say.
Hey, there we go, man.
Shout out to all the plugs, because there's a lot of them and they're very good people.
I don't have any plugs, but I'm very I'm well versed in this culture. So like I got this t-shirt right here for probably like $30. I saw like a guy posted on eBay. He was in the area. I was like, hey man, I'll just meet up with you and give it to you, no eBay fees, bro. And just met him at a Walmart. So.
Yeah, and that's very rarely here in Finland. Like this stuff crops up. You see a few people selling like BBC bits now and again, but it's not massive over here.
I remember you told me that before. I was really shocked. Like people are selling like BBC collections over in Finland. That's fire to me. That's amazing.
Yeah, but like flea market things are quite popular here, and like pop-up stores where people can just go and sell their stuff are really popular here, because it's obviously Helsinki's such a small place. Everyone in the kind of scene knows everyone. So you can go along, you can find some gems. That's how I first met David. In fact, I went to this kind of flea market thing that was in this store
in Finland.
People were selling all their like Supreme stuff and Jordans and things like that. And then right at the back there was a guy that had like a Bape hoodie and a Seeing Sounds t-shirt, which I actually ended up buying, and then a brand new pair of
bought it off his back right there.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, he had an unworn pair of board flips, and they were my size, and I was like, well, I'll just buy it for the sake of buying it because it was a cheap price. Got them home. I was like, actually, I don't like them. I don't think I can pull these off. but I know a guy that collects this stuff. So that's when I first messaged David and was like, hey, I don't know you, but I've got some ice creams. Do you want to buy them? And he bought them off of me. And I think I lost money because the shipping to get them over to the US was ridiculous. So
that's how I met Dave too.
Yeah, he got a bit of a bargain. But yeah, that's how I first met him. And it's weird how these clothes and these shoes and this music, you know, brings all of us together in some way.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I know David. And then that's how, like, I met you in New York, who I would probably have never met in my lifetime anyway.
I'm sorry I've always asked so many questions about Finland, but it's like, man, you know, that's crazy, you know. But yeah, I met Dave through a pair of ice creams too. Like, I sold him ice creams like years ago, and I was skeptical because back then, like, I remember when he first started, he didn't. Like, he really stuck with this, you know, to see where he's at now and to see, like, you know, people like Currency name dropping, you know. I think Dave's always been successful, but I'm saying as king of creams, you know, to see how he turned that is pretty dope, you know. So I was skeptical to sell because I'm like, this guy doesn't have many followers. I'm like, man, I don't know if he's really for the culture or if he just start getting pairs. I'm like, you know, so, but yeah, but that was the first time I met him. I sold him a pair of, I think it was pair of beepers.
And now look at him. 12,000 followers, Currency giving him shout outs,
meeting up alive.
Yeah, meeting up with Virgil and, you know, big things.
Man, we gotta get Dave over at Reebok. We gotta get him over there at Reebok. Like,
he needs BBC. To be doing something like that, yeah.
Or BBC, man. I would love to see that guy doing something.
If only we could get a guy on the inside.
Man, I hate that we feel like that. I really hate that we feel like that. We're like the guys who like you know, we're just on the outside just complaining a lot. It's like we're like, we just want to get in and change the system. Like,
well, I've got to say I like to think I'm sort of fairly positive about what they do, and I like what they do. I don't like everything. I don't agree with everything. But yeah, generally, I think they do I can't even speak now. They do a pretty good job with, you know, what they're given, basically.
Yo, man, your son has that iPhone now. I wouldn't be surprised if he checked that BBC story. You might get a text like, like, hey, so about these.
Yeah, that's one thing I fear now that he can. Well, he's had an iPad for a while, to be fair, but yeah, now he's got his iPhone. He can take to school with him every day, and yeah, get on Safari and start browsing all the shops. And
do you use the iPhone feature that they have now, where you can like see like the amount of time that they use for apps? And
hell yes.
You know, he said no hesitation. He said
because he's 8 years old in a few weeks, and if he was left to his own devices, he would sit there watching YouTube videos 24 hours a day.
Copy.
That's what the kids do these days. They just want to watch YouTube. And it's not even interesting videos. You know, it's not like watching...
man, now you're judging the content as well. He's like, it's just some stupid mouth singing a song. He's like...
Have you ever sat there and watched a 5-hour stream of someone playing Minecraft? This is not good content. This is bringing nothing to society.
Wow. I hope he never hears this. I
tell him this.
You tell. No.
Put some music on. You don't need to watch other people play the games.
You're not doing anything. Oh, man.
And on that note of my awful parenting skills,
I
think it's about time to wrap it up. I try and keep this podcast to an hour. We've gone well over an hour and a half.
Really?
It's been a good chat.
Wow. I expected this to be a lot shorter. I've never done a podcast before. Well, like I said, I don't talk about this much. So I was like, yo, it'll be like 45 minutes. And, you know, I'll go get some lunch. You know?
Yeah, we started and I had very little notes. And I thought this would be quite a quick one. But it's gone nice and long in a very good way. So I think let's wrap it up. If you want to check the show notes and the previous episodes and all of that jazz, you can head over to the website, theothers.net. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go to othersmerch.com and buy a nice t-shirt. There will be some more designs coming soon. Shout out to the people that bought the Skateboard P is God t-shirt, which then got a DCMA takedown notice applied to it.
Wow, which makes the shirt even better.
Well, yeah, it really truly is limited edition now. There's only about 5 in existence.
Okay, there we go.
I'm currently talking to some lawyers about what we do about this. But yeah, shout out to those that did actually buy it. But you can buy all the other great ones over there, and there'll be some more coming soon. If you want to find me and follow me anywhere, I am Steve R. Penny on Instagram. You can also go to superhelsinki.com and find all the other links and my random ramblings on there. And where can people find yourself if they want to check out what you're up to?
If you guys want to check out what I'm up to, you could find me definitely on Instagram, probably interacting with guys like Steve and Dave, so it won't be hard to find me. DeauxBoyMeetsWorld, that's DeauxBoy, Meetsworld, Meets. I hope you know how to spell world. For those people that don't know, I am a musician, so if you get a chance, there's a link in my bio. I'm currently working on a project now. I'm trying to bring back like those Pharrell chords and a lot of the more, like grinding type beats where it's just like, just where it just grabs you and you just like, I'm very excited to release it soon. So yeah, anybody that want to check that out, just check me out on Instagram. And I have to say, man, just keep the culture alive, man. Like, don't let this die. Like that's the whole reason why we love the culture, is because it's something that I don't think a lot of us were expecting, and I think that's why we're still connected to it. That's why it still holds a place. So I think we owe that to the younger kids, as Steve said, with his son, who's obviously a Pharrell fan now. Just want to keep the culture alive, man. We have a lot of life left to give. There's a lot of inspiration still in it, so.
We got to school them. We got to school these young kids.
You have to, man. I would not want kids to take drugs and all that shit now when they could be starting their own clothing line, like Tyler, who was inspired by Pharrell, We got to start letting these kids know that they can do it too, no pun intended.
But a good pun nonetheless.
Yes.
All right, well, that's it for this week then, guys. Feel free to send us a message via the website or drop a comment on Instagram. Get in touch with us, especially if you want to jump on the podcast as well. I'm always looking for new and returning guests, so just reach out and we can have a chat. But that's it for this week, everyone, so we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Cue me, dog.